Okay, continuing on with the TMCC Library Open Genealogy Lab Outstanding Guest Speaker Series, today we are pleased to present KayLynn Mathews. KayLynn earned her master's degree in library science with a focus on archives and research. She is a professional genealogist and has been researching genealogies for 25 years and has researched records from the United Kingdom, Belgium, Canada, Hungary, and the United States. After seeing a need in the industry, she developed the Ancestral Logs website, which helps family members work together and coordinate the many tasks required in a successful genealogy research project. She is a member of the Association of Professional Genealogists, Indiana Genealogical Society, Northwest Indiana Genealogical Society, Maryland Genealogical Society, and the Georgia Genealogical Society. In today's presentation titled Ancestral Logs, Family Collaboration and the Research Process, she will discuss the genealogical research process, how to effectively research with family members, and how you can maximize efficiency by keeping research logs, evidence, and source citations organized and easily accessible using the Ancestral Logs, a genealogy project management website. There are many ways to keep genealogical research notes and the images of the documents organized, but few make it easy to duplicate and share with other people, particularly those who share ancestors with you. By working with your cousins on a joint research project using Ancestral Logs, you don't have to wonder if you're duplicating research or spend time filing papers. You can spend your time where it matters, finding the documents and facts about your ancestors. So without further ado, I would like to offer a warm virtual welcome to KayLynn.
All right. So Ancestral Logs is a new website that debuted at RootsTech in this past February 2021. Ancestral Logs was developed mainly to help family members work together. One of the mottos of our company is genealogy is not an individual endeavor, it is family cooperation. So how many of you have ever researched your family and then you said, oh, well, I see this other person on Ancestry is also researching the same ancestors. Let me contact them and see if we can work together. And then when they finally respond, which may take a while, you find out that you both have spent a lot of money on ordering or finding out this exact same information, and you've duplicated research. Well, if you collaborate with your family from the beginning, you can save money, save time, less frustration. And so it's easier if you are working with your family and cooperating with them. So how do you do that? First thing is you need to find family members that are working on your family tree. Now it's easy to look at your brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, cousins that you may associate with every day. But what about those third, fourth cousins? The seventh cousins 3 times removed. The further you go back, there are many, many more people working on your same ancestors. So the main places that I look to find people working on my family tree are the big genealogy websites where you can upload your family tree, such as familysearch.org and ancestry.com. Find my past, my heritage. She just mentioned jenny.com. That's another good one. A lot of these will have places where you can search family trees. You can find the people that are also working on your same ancestors, and you can send them a message or an email. So if you find those people, ask them to work with you. Share the information that you have, including pictures of documents, pictures of the people, life stories, experiences. And when you're talking to them, you need to ask specific questions. If someone were to contact you and say, can you share your information, everything you have on Aunt Mary Christensen? And you're like, oh, I have 4 file folders on there. I don't even know where to start. What do they already have? What do they want to know? I don't want to copy everything and waste my time if they're not interested. So when you're asking questions of somebody, please ask specific questions, such as I'm looking at their birth. I'm looking to find out if they were born in Crawford County or Indiana County. You know, what specifically are you looking for? And the more you talk to the person on different research tasks, the more willing they are to help, because it's a narrow question that's easily answered. So when you have a family group working together, it is important that everybody has a job to do. Assign someone to take care of researching the census records, another one to look into marriages, another one to look at the military records. Because if everybody has a job, nobody's going to duplicate research. So everyone needs to report back what they found and agree to share where they looked and what they found. So here in your handout, it shows the research process, how to work with family effectively, how to conduct your genealogy research effectively to where you're not duplicating efforts, you are making a thorough and exhaustive search and finding the records that you need. So the first one would be to create a research team. And this is what I'm talking about, is finding other people that are working on your same ancestors. Ask them if they want to work on a team, an organized team where everybody has a job. So once you've got your group of teams together, then you'll need to select a coordinator or two. It's okay to have two people, because what if somebody goes on vacation and can't help, or gets sick, or we hope doesn't happen, they pass away and someone needs to take over. So if you have two coordinators, that will be able to help them work together. So are you seeing on your screen the color research process?
Yes, we are.
Okay, want to make sure that we're on the same page here. Okay, so we are going to look into Sardinia Smith, who is this beautiful lady here. She looks like she's of some means, right? She's got her hair nicely done, some beautiful jewelry, and just the fact that she has her picture taken in the 1800s shows that she has some kind of money. So we're going to develop a team working on Sardinia Smith, who is one of my husband's relatives. So I am going to switch to Ancestral Logs on a different screen, and I need to figure out if there's an easy way to do this. Alt-Tab doesn't do it, does it?
On share screen, it should give you an option. If you have more than one window open, it should give you an option of which window you want to choose.
That will work better than what I'm doing. Okay, are you seeing, what are you seeing?
Research Center, yes, we see it.
Awesome. Okay, you're seeing the Research Center. So research, this is the Research Center of Ancestral Logs. Once I logged into Ancestral Logs, this is the screen that will come up, which will show all of these ancestors that I am currently working on in my family. On the left side, I can highlight this one belongs to my family, this one doesn't, just by clicking on the little F, if you choose to do that or not. For me, they're all my family, but I've just highlighted ones that I want to concentrate on. So the top one here is Sardinia Smith. My role is the coordinator, and she was born 30th of March, 1826 and died 12th of March, 1912. So I want to put together a research team for Sardinia Smith. So I'm going to click on her, which is being slow. There we go. Off to the left side, this sidebar, you can collapse it, which I suggest doing by clicking on the top left tiny little arrow. Okay, so this is the Sardinia Smith page for Ancestral Logs. If I want to develop a research team for her, I need to go into individual. And then on the top, there's going to be a button that pops up that says Manage Research Team. And I click that. I think I have too many windows open on my computer, so it's being slow today. So right now there are, if I click on any of these buttons, it shows that I am the only one that is in the research team. So I need to add some people. So I'm going to add a team member. In Ancestral Logs, each person is chooses an alias because we kind of don't encourage you to publish your real name out on the internet for many reasons. One is personal identity theft, especially when you're dealing with ancestors. You know, things can get a little tricky there. So if you know a person's alias, you can type it into this screen and then add them to your research team. So I know one called ACM42. I want to add this person to my research team. I just type that in and click add. And that person is added. So now if I come over to my, it's refreshing. There it goes, it's refreshed. Now this person, it's a male. He is listed as a researcher that I can assign tasks to. If you don't know their alias, you can just put in their email. I'm just making one up. I don't really want to send someone a message. And then you can type in any message you want. Hi, Joe, my cousin, whatever you want to type in here. I can't even spell, this is awful. Help me research Sardinia Smith. That's who we talked about on. Okay, whatever you want to tell them. Click invite. It's going to send them an email that says, in this case, it'll have my name, KayLynn VM423 has invited you to work on Ancestral Logs of Sardinia Smith. Click here to go there. So now I can, while that person's waiting to join, I can come back and I can assign tasks to those who have already joined the team. So let's say I'm the coordinator, and it'll automatically assign me or the person who uploaded the information as the coordinator. Now, I won't be assigned as your ancestors, but if you upload the ancestor, you are assigned as the coordinator. You can delegate that job to somebody else, or you can do it yourself. So I'm going to assign JCM as a researcher. There are several steps in the research process: research, coordinator, and then if you want to hire a professional, they can come in and do that too. So JCM, he is a beginner researcher, and because I'm the coordinator, I can assign him whatever jobs I want. Because he's a beginner, I'm going to give him some easy tasks to do, such as gender. He needs to figure out if Sardinia is male or female. Now that doesn't mean, oh, I look at the picture, I know it's a female. We've got to have document proof for each of these actions. We need to have documental proof of their name. If they have nicknames, maybe she's called Sardi, maybe she's called Megan, who knows what nicknames she's been given. So I'm going to assign him a bunch of these. Let's assign him find a grave. And then once I click the ones he wants, or that I want to give him, I'll click update assignment. Okay. So this is just clicked on requirement 1, or if you look up at the top, it says identity. I want to look at all sections and refresh. So you can have an idea of what you can assign these people to do. Birth, marriage, death, children, parents, church records, burial records. If you're LDS, there's the temple ordinances, there's the census records, And it keeps on going down. There's lots of census records. Currently, all of these are set to United States, but in the next update that we have, we will get some international ones in here. So as you go through these, we've tried to get kind of a general idea of most record types: militaries, court records, land records. There, you can see there's quite a few. So we're going to assign JCM. If you look now here on gender, it says the status is coordinating. The item is applicable. So if the person was born in 1860, obviously the 1810, 1820, 1830 census are not going to be applicable, and you can go in and mark those as not applicable. So it is assigned to him, and the coordinator is still me. So you've got to assign a person and then the status. So I want to now assign those items, the gender. I can see what he's assigned, find a grave. I want to update the status to now it's in researching status. So if you think about, so now it says researching. If you think about the old way of doing family history, you would look at something, you'd write notes on paper, you'd probably put it in a binder or a file folder and file it away, right? And if somebody else is working on it, you may give them that file folder and say, okay, this is now in your hands. That's yours, you take care of it. So by changing the status to researching, the status of this gender or this find a grave task that I've given JCM is it's now in the researching status. This file folder is in his physical hands. It's his job to find that information. Okay. Are there any questions on this part right here?
I'll keep an eye on the chat box, but I have one question. How do you get that person's profile, like, you know, the ancestor's profile in there? Do you download your Jedcom file? How do you get the ancestor's name in there?
Okay, if I come over to the home page where it takes you the research entries, my entries, there is something at the top called import or search add new. So I can go to import and I can import a Jedcom file. I have a lot of people there, so it's taking a while to upload those. So yes, you can import a Jedcom file. It is recommended that you make smaller files, such as under 100 people, because the more individuals that are up in a Jedcom file, the longer time it takes to process. So if I click on import, I can select the Jedcom file location on my computer by clicking here, import new file, and then choose the file wherever it is on my computer.
So if your family tree has like 5,000 people in it, you should not download that Jedcom file.
Right, it will actually get rejected back to you and say it's too big. Up at the top here, it says limit to 100 individuals or less. So on most family trees, you can, like Roots Magic, Legacy Family Tree, Family Search, a lot of them will say how many generations do you want to include in your Jedcom file? And I would probably think, what am I going to be actively researching? You're probably not going to be actively researching 10 generations and all the descendants. You just don't have time for that. So think about, okay, this month or this quarter, I'm going to concentrate on this family. Those are the individuals that you want to import into Ancestral Logs. So if you think about what you're currently working on, like my family tree, I have, I don't know, 15,000 people. I'm only looking at 10 of those this month. Ancestral Logs is your research process place where you want to keep notes. It is not a place that you store your entire family tree. We're not here to replace your Roots Magic or your Ancestry or your Family Search file, wherever you keep your information. We're here to help you keep the research notes and work with family on the research. once you find the information, then you can take it back to those other programs where you have the big, huge family trees. Okay. If you don't want to import, you can also come to search, add new, and you can just hand type somebody. And it will just put in whatever you type here and add that person. First, it will search the whole research database of Ancestral Logs, because what if Suzanne puts in Sardinia Smith, but I've already started her. She might already be in there, and then she can just join the group that's already there. Because the whole point is we work together. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. So it's project management. That's very smart.
Yeah, that's all we do is project management. Yeah. So if I want to go back to my entries, I can click at the top, or I can click on the side. There's also here on the side, while that's loading, a user's guide that will take you into the different areas and provide detailed instructions for you. Especially if you forget, now how did I get there? What was I doing? User's guide. Okay, so now that we have Sardinia Smith loaded, and we've got JCM assigned and I'm assigned. If you go back to this, you can see here is the researcher. Everybody that's assigned a task is here on the dashboard. And it shows little numbers at the top that he is assigned 2 items in the ID category. But me as the coordinator, when I come in here, I'm like, oh, I still have 113 items to do, or 98%. As the coordinator, then I need to assign to somebody. So I will know immediately coming here, if I'm JCM, I can click right there on that too, and it'll take me to that information, the task that I need to do, which I did. Once you click on the item, it will show you, he's got 2 items to do here. If we look at under identification, there's Find a Grave. So if you have not gone onto findagrave.com, it is a website that started many, many years ago, just documenting interesting grave sites of celebrities or just interesting tombstones that the individual who developed the site liked. It has since grown into trying to document every grave in the world, and they've done a great job. They're not quite have everything yet, so they require volunteers to help upload information, which a lot of genealogy societies are doing. So Jacob is going to go on to findagrave.org, and he is going to try and find Sardinia Smith's gravesite. Now, if he has no idea how to do that, he can come over here to the guidance section, click guidance, and it'll give you some information. So this one's pretty brief. You go to the Find a Grave, enter the ID listed on the record of this person. Actually, I need to change that. There's a search box. You can enter the person's name and search for the person. Now, if I come up to Find a Grave, my screen is hidden behind all these controls at the top. Can I move the controls to the bottom? There we go. All right, up here on Find a Grave, there is, I already searched for her. She is found as S.H. Perry. That is her maiden name. She's also found as Sardinia Hicks Smith Perry. And I found that because you can see more, actually. This is the index. She's listed as S.H. Perry and Sardinia Hicks Smith Perry. So she is unique in that she has 2 2 records. So JCM has found these 2 records. Here's the other one, a picture of the gravestone and some information. So he now needs to take this information and enter it back into Ancestral Logs. So just looking at this entry right here on Find a Grave, what kind of facts or clues do you see that would help prove any item in researching, such as it has her name, right? It has her birth date. It has her death information. It has her burial information. Is there anything else here that you see that might help prove any kind of fact or document? You can go ahead and unmute yourself and yell it out.
Well, it does say on the stone that she was the wife.
Right. Okay, so now you have some marriage information.
And the date of marriage.
Down here, where they were married.
Although it's hard to tell based on the picture, whether that information was extracted off the stone or whether that was extracted from a different source and just entered by the Find a Grave person.
If you click on it, it'll bring up, oh, this is a bad picture, it's the other one. The other one, if you click on it, you can see, does it show they're married?
I see birth and death. Let's see here. No, I see birth and death on both of them, but I don't see anything about the date of marriage.
There's nothing that says they're married on the gravestone itself. But knowing that 2 names are listed on the gravestone and they're both born similar times, it's probably not a father-daughter relationship or a mother-son relationship. It could be siblings, but it's a clue that they're married, right? So when someone's researching the marriage information, this would be a clue that they could possibly be married. So when you look at any record, any photograph, anything in your research, you want to look at it and say, what other clues are there in here? My purpose for going here was to find their tombstone. Check, I did that. Yay, mission accomplished. But what other clues, now that I'm here, am I finding? And this possible marriage may be one of them. So if we go back to Ancestral Logs here, he needs to enter his research notes into the program. So you need to create a research log, which can be found here under Find a Grave research log. You can also come up here to the top, research logs. Okay. So if you click on it, you need to create a new log entry. Here's the research log. What is it? It's going to automatically assign me, not JCM, because I'm the one logged in, I'm doing the work. If JCM was logged in, it would have his name up here. Therefore, anything that I enter into these research notes here can only be modified by me. JCM can see them, but he cannot change them. If he wants to change anything, he can create a new research log and write down whatever notes he has found. Okay, so what is the title here? It is Find the Gravestone. I know it's assigned to JCM, but you know what? I happen to run across it. Sardinia Smith. And you can put whatever you want, title, the purpose for this research log, or you want to always include a citation if you found proof. You may not have found any proof and you may say there's nothing here. But if you go to Find a Grave, they're wonderful in that they have a source citation at the bottom. You just click on it, highlight it, right click copying, and then come over here, right click paste. And the URL, if I'm on Find a Grave, that's up here at the top, right? Or click on it, it highlights it. right click, copy, jump back over to the Ancestral Logs tab, right click, paste. I just included a source citation in my notes. So what was I looking for? The gravestone for Sardinia Smith. What did I find? She is on the gravestone with William Perry. And you can put whatever you want in here. I mean, you can put that she's in Oakwood Cemetery, Jefferson County, Marion County, Texas. But for this purpose right now, just to make it quick, I'm just going to be brief. And just put the county, which was what? I just said it, Marion. Whoops. So based on this information that I've learned, where would I want to look next? What clues did I get that I may want to keep note of? She may be married to William Perry. Find a marriage record. Another one, if you go back to, it was the other one, not the S.H. Perry, but the Sardinia Hicks Smith Perry. There's another clue here that says the wife of Captain William Perry married on this day. So because his name is Captain William Perry, is that another clue for something? What does captain mean?
Military records.
Could be military. Maybe he owns a boat and he's the captain of a boat. I mean, it could be several different things. So where do I look next? William may be in the military. Boy, I cannot spell today. Or a ship's captain. Okay. I can provide a transcription. If my search didn't find anything, I may want to put in here what my search terms were that I used. You know, before class started, someone was talking about different spellings that their ancestor had. I may want to put different spellings. These search boxes are to help you, so when you come back in the future, you can see what it is you did, what results you had, and what do I do from here? So you can kind of pick up where you left off. And I would probably go more into detail, but for time's sake right now, I'm not going to. So we need to save this. We don't want it to get lost, right? So we're going to save it. And now I want this research to be filed under lots of different places. So obviously, there's lots of people mentioned on this Find a Grave site. So I can upload evidence and I can upload it, attach this to individuals. So let's first do the evidence. Ahead of class, I downloaded the information, the images to my computer and filed them under, I have lots of different layers. Genealogy, then I have my families, the Smith family, and Sardinia Smith. So these all relate to Sardinia. So from Find a Grave, I found this memorial, and I click open. And that does not look right.
Does it restrict what format of a file you can download?
It does, but it should be uploading JPEGs and PDFs. I'm going to have to write a note on that one. That will be fixed by the end of the week. Should say end of the next week, because this is the end of this week. Okay, so that's never happened before. That's weird. Sorry about that. You would click the file name and then click OK or save. And then you need to attach it to individuals. So I'm going to, I know she's at the bottom because I just upload her. We're going to attach it to Sardinia and then click attach to individual. There she is. And I'm going to attach it also to William because he was mentioned. And was there anyone else mentioned? Right here is a child, Lucy Anna Perry Claiborne. Anybody that's mentioned on this information. Oh, shoot, I already did William. Lucy, there she is. Sardinia, William, and Lucy are now all attached to this research log. So this information, if I go into their individual page like we had in Sardinia, it will automatically be attached to them. But I just don't want to attach it to the person, but I want to attach it to the information. So because we were set out to prove the find a grave task, we did that. So let's attach it to find a grave. But we also proved lots of other things. So who did we prove and find a grave? All three of them. Click find a grave and then attach. So now under all three of those in their individual screens, their find a grave information is going to have this research log and the evidence that I saved to it. So the next person's going to find out they don't have to do Lucy Perry's find a grave because it's already there, or at least something that mentions her. So the next one, it has all of their names on it, right? Attach their name. What else does it have? It didn't say gender, any of them, but it had birth information for who? Sardinia and William. Did it have birth information for Lucy?
Oh, well, we didn't really look at Lucy's profile, did we? Yeah,
just back here it says Lucy 1848 to 1922.
Yeah, but we don't know whether that's on the stone or whether somebody entered that information because the picture's too small to see.
It is, but it does have a date there. So it is a clue to her birth. It doesn't mean it's necessarily proved or it's necessarily complete, but there's a clue to Lucy's birth right there. And that's what we're documenting, are all the clues. So when someone wants to go back and prove Lucy's birth, this may be a clue for them that they want to look into. And that's what we're doing here, is documenting what are the clues. So in the future, I don't have to start from scratch. I can think, what is it that I can, I know I saw somewhere that she was listed as a child, and I think I had her birthplace. Well, I don't have to wonder that anymore because it's already attached to her. So marriage, maybe they're married, maybe not, but I'm going to attach it as a clue. Definitely has their death information or a clue that they died. Can you see how this one source is providing all these clues? What else? Children. Did I have children of the ancestor? It may be one of their children, because it said child of Sardinia, but it may be William's child too if they're married. It's a clue, so I'm going to attach it. I didn't click Lucy because it's not her child. But the next one here is parents of the ancestor. That's when I would click. It might be Lucy's parents. So I'm going to attach that. And keep going down the list. Burial, definitely, because that's a burial site. How much information are we getting from this one site?
Quite a bit.
So if you think the same thing for a census record, how much information are you getting from a census record? Names, relationships, birthplaces, birth dates, marriages, occupations, military. Sometimes 1910, you've got immigration and naturalizations. There's so much information, even whether they can read or write, how if they're educated or not, if they went to school. And you want to make note of all that because it puts together a picture of the person. So I think I'm going to stop right there. There may be more, but for the sake of time, I think you get the idea. That all of these are now attached. And then I'm going to hit close.
So if I have multiple people working on this, and let's say I've got multiple people working on different record sets for a date of birth, once everyone, like, let's say one cousin in New York is working on the same ancestor as I am in Nevada. Once we enter in all of our sources for that piece of metadata, for instance, the birth date, with just a click, we can see all the different pieces of proof for the birth, right? All the different clues, I should say, for the birth.
Right. And you may not have Sardinia's probate record because maybe that wasn't your assignment, or you just didn't find it, or wasn't your job. But somebody was researching her son, William, because there's a William Jr., and she's mentioned in it. And you get that information because he attached it, her, when he was uploading the information. Does that make sense? So in a lot of these big websites, you find their family trees and you're seeing that they have, well, let's go here, look at Sardinia. You have her, this is Family Search, if you're not familiar with it. Here she is, it's got facts, and it's got events, census records, it's got family relationships, and it's got sources that may, oh, well, now it's not letting me log in. But what it doesn't tell you is how all those relate to each other. It's not telling you that this information, this source proved all this other information. Okay, so we have marriages, find a grave, Texas, United States Census. All of this has clues, but it doesn't relate what source is proving what information. Ancestry does a better job of that because they'll show little arrows, little lines that link them. But then again, it doesn't give every single clue. You can't link it, everything together. Since we're on this page of sources, if I go over to the right, I can see, well, there's me, yay, I did that. Cynthia Ann Rosslisberger, I have no idea who she is, but if I click on her name, I can send her an email. She's my 11th cousin twice removed, which is interesting because this is my husband's family, so she's related to my husband and to me. So I can send her a message that says, hey, I'm researching her with using Ancestral Logs, and all my research notes are there. Let's work together. And she'll have to send you a message back in Family Search, sharing her email address that you can do that. Or she can just join Ancestral Logs and search for Sardinia Smith. Family Search is not gonna, they're not gonna join anything because, you know, they're the big company. But those details can also be found over here on the right. Latest changes to a person, show all. And it shows not just who uploaded sources, but anyone who's ever made any changes to this person. There's a Robert Lee Pritchett. I can click on him and send him a message. A lot of me. So not a whole lot of people, but I've got 2 people I didn't know before that I can ask to work with me on this. All right, so back to Ancestral Logs. So I attached all of this information, keeping my research log. If I were to keep it on paper, I would have filed it under Sardinia Smith for her gravestone. And if I went then later on to look for William's grave, I would have started all over. Where right now, I don't have to because it's already done. Let's save this research. Oh, I forgot to show you at the top, you can put this research is complete. Because it shows you right here. The status is unknown and the results are not started. I forgot to click complete on that. So I can go back, hit the entry number, which will take me back to the research log. The results were positive. I found what I was looking for, and now it's completed because I found the gravestone. I could put that it was in progress, which would tell me later when I went back to look at the research logs for Sardinia, I could see that things that are completed, like here's one that's in progress, but it's on someone named Roland Tinkersley. So I can go back to that, and I know I still have more work to do on that. So you can see where you left off and jump back. And this is in the Research Center, which you open to when you first log on under Research Log. These are all of my research logs. Does that make sense? Everyone that I've ever looked at. And I can jump to that individual just by clicking on their name, and it'll take me back to their page. Okay, so we want to go back to Sardinia and see what's happened with her. So it says find a grave is not listed on here. Why is it not listed? Well, if you come over here to these are how you can filter it. It's filtered. I'm viewing my tasks or things that are assigned to me. Who has find a grave assigned to them? Do you remember? You can come up here and you can click by who they're assigned to, my tasks or the status of everything, priorities, lots of different things. So I don't want to look at my tasks. I just want to look at the open tasks, the status of things. There's find a grave right now that's in the researching status. All the rest of these are in the coordinating. So I can jump to find a grave. It's assigned to JCM. That is now complete, wouldn't you agree? I found her on Find a Grave. Even though JCM didn't find her, I found her. So I want to mark that as complete. So right now it's assigned to JCM, but I want to alter that to me because I want to make a change. So there's the no email, there person's waiting to join. So I'm signing that to researching to me so I can make changes. Now it's on me. Now I can come over here and I can mark it as complete. Over here, I can put any questions, any comments that I want to send to the coordinator. In this case, I don't have any comments, coordinator, because there she is. Maybe I want to put, there were two records in Find a Grave. Mark it as complete. Need explanation or report text. Oh, I forgot this step. Sorry, report text. Report text is if you were to write a family history on this person, what is the fact that you found from this record? What is going to be included in the report? What is the final information? So if we were doing birth, it would be she was born on this day in this place. So on Find a Grave, what is the fact? No, shouldn't put C. Sardinia was buried. What is the fact that we found from Find a Grave? Oakwood Cemetery, Jefferson, Marion, Texas. And you can even say there's her Find a Grave memorial. I'm going to copy that. Whatever fact it was that you found. Oops. Look, it posted it way down there. So I'm telling the coordinator from this information, this is the fact that I found. And I'm going to save it. That is my report text. Sometimes there's a graph that you just fill in information in the grid boxes, and sometimes there's an open text box. So I mark it as complete. And it's going to tell you if you forgot something, because every item needs evidence, report text, an explanation, or at least one attachment. And remember, we didn't get the attachment. The evidence wouldn't upload. So you can come back here to Evidence tab. You can click Manage Evidence. This takes you to a different screen where you can just go straight and choose files to upload. On this screen, I can upload several at a time. And I'm going to click my click them all, and I'm gonna, you can review it, but I'm just gonna process it. Enter a source citation. Remember, all of the source citations are needed for everything. How important do you think source citations are for genealogy work?
Oh, absolutely, the most important.
So can you see why it's saying, hello, you didn't put a source citation? It's not recognizing the research log as the evidence, because remember, I didn't upload the evidence there. I could put a description in here if I want, picture of gravestone. So I could upload the evidence either place. This is just whatever you want. Put on here, copy of web page. Something's got to be put in there. Process it. Processed, it's done, yay. If it doesn't upload in one place, go to the other one. All right, so now we're looking at this filter page. I'm looking at any you can filter by lots of different things. I can look at everything, all context. I can look at any of these sections. So if I come back to find a grave, you can see the status is complete. Why is it still not saying complete? Gonna keep telling you every time. It's in my hands. I've uploaded evidence. You click on there. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I forgot to attach it to Find a Grave. Whoops. It's an existing because I already uploaded it. I'm not uploading something new. Uploaded by me. I'm going to search for it. There they are. But I need to attach it to a task. I don't know why this is stuck there. Auto selected Find a Grave because I put Find a Grave. Okay. And then we will return to the individual. So once you mark it complete and it's processed, it goes into the coordinator's hand and they review everything and they see if everything's complete in their hands, and then can send it to a professional or mark it complete. If you go back to the top in your dashboard, you can see what's been completed, what hasn't been, who's in what's hands. jump to the information. So now you can see I'm listed as a researcher and a coordinator. Are there any questions so far?
I'll let everyone go ahead and either unmute your microphone or put it in the chat box. But in the meantime, you know, the one really big value I can see to this, especially because we all want to get our relatives involved with our genealogy, not only because one person can't do it all, obviously,
Right.
but you want to get the family involved, you know, to not only have more hands on different resources across the country, like if you have a cousin that lives in New York and you live in California, for instance, but also because of the time zone difference between where you and your relatives live. I can see, you know, like me, for instance, I stay up late at night. You know, I prefer to do my genealogy like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning because there's no distractions, you know. But somebody else, obviously, you know, when I'm at work the next day, you know, they might be home. You see what I'm saying? So this seems like a really great way to communicate with the people you're working with across the country, across the time zones, and not duplicate other person's work.
Exactly right. We're trying to avoid duplication. We're trying to make sure that everybody's got an assignment to do. Everybody's doing something different. Everybody's on the same page, right? Let me go back to.
I can see also, this would be, you know, because younger researchers, you know, I think tend towards more electronic resources than older researchers. You know, older researchers sometimes feel comfortable with, you know, paper and you know, family search and, you know, MyHeritage, that kind of thing. But the younger group seems to gravitate towards all electronic devices and getting away from paper. So I can see the appeal to younger genealogists of the family.
So my son is 21 years old. And he says, Mom, I know you do this for a living, but I want to learn how to do it. So what do I do? So I set him onto a census record, such as what you see on your screen. Right here is Sardinia Smith. And I introduced him to Ancestral Logs. I showed him the guidance. I showed him how to do this. And he went and he found a census record and entered everything. And he's like, okay, that only took 10 minutes. I'm done. Now what? And so I'm like, look at this big task of list of tasks that you can pick something from, pull it from somebody else's hands, assign it to yourself, read the guidance, see what you can do, and just take off. You don't need me to show you what to do. So here, if there's this big, huge list of things to do. So he went on and picked a couple. He did census first because they were the easiest to find. And those are found on Family Search and Ancestry and Find My Past. Most of the big sites have census records. And he was doing genealogy and he's like, this is cool. And I'm finding all these new information. Just going in here to the 1870 population schedule. The guidance will show you different places in which you can find. Oh, it's not assigned to me.
So I see the major subcategories of the census, you know, like 1870, 1850, 1860, you know, in like agricultural schedules, etc. But each one of those, you know, has a data mine, you know, if you go down into that, like for instance, you know, if you're on a particular census, you know, there might be a question about how far you've gone in education or how many children has the woman had up to this date. Does it data mine that deeply?
That's why you fill out that research log and you attach everything you see. And it's going to, you know, instead of copying it and putting in different folders, it's going to attach the education and all this other information to that individual. It doesn't automatically extract the information for you. That's the whole point of document analyzation. That's why we have the researcher. So you are the data miner. You're the one that's pulling out all the data and attaching it. And other people are going to appreciate that you did all that work for them. Does that answer your question?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So here in the guidance for the 1870 census, you can see that it tells you how to look at census records. Here's many places you can find a census record. Just click on the hyperlink and it'll take you to National Archives or Fold 3 or wherever, censusrecords.com. And if you have a source that you think should be there, just come over to the left side of the screen here and click support and send us a message and say, hey, you should add this to your guidance. So that's kind of the idea of ancestral logs and how it works. If you see here, you know, there's the census record that I just went through. We went through the dashboard. You could see at a glance what needs to be done. This one's for James A. Smith. This is Sardinia's dad, or brother, I mean. All the different researchers that are working on it, what jobs they have assigned. You can filter by lots of different things just based on what you want to see. So before using Ancestral Logs, everyone had their own family tree online, or people can change your research on a joint tree. But after Ancestral Logs, we concentrate on the research process, not displaying the family tree. We want to see the nitty gritty of where you looked, what you looked at, what you found, how it applies to everybody else. Before all relatives did their own research, and collaboration is really hard. I haven't found any place that gets really deep into anybody else's research notes, but that's the purpose of Ancestral Logs, is so the coordinator assigns the tasks and the researchers do the work and they report back. No one knew where to look for information, but here we have that wonderful guidance that'll show you where to look. And everyone has the research logs. I can go back and see where you looked and what your thought process was. Efforts are not duplicated. Everyone's seeing what the research process is. People cannot change your research. Once that research log by you is put in there, or the facts that you submit, you are the only one that can change it. Someone else can add a different opinion, but the coordinator is the one who decides based on all the facts. I've looked at all this conflicting evidence. I've looked at all the explanations everyone's given. Based on all the facts presented, it is determined that this is the birthplace, or this is the marriage, and this is why, and they'll write a explanation of why this has been determined. But everyone can see that. And if you decide that that's not what you agree with, you still have your family tree on whatever other website. You can put whatever final fact you determine, because you've got all the research here in one place. Sometimes it's hard to tell what sources still need to be researched to have a reasonably exhaustive search. But this list of information of places that need to be searched, I'm going to scroll down on this other screen so you can see what all these different places are. We talked about the census. Scroll down, there's lots of census records. Cemetery records, census sexton records, probate records, all the different types. And you talked about letters of testamentary at the beginning in the announcements, and that's part of the probate files and letters of administration and inventories. But if you didn't know that, you can come to Ancestral Logs and see all these steps and the different types of land records, the different types of court records. And each one of them has guidance. Military, you know, it keeps going on and on. Did you know that you can find information in city directories? Where they lived, who they lived by, where they worked. Sometimes it'll even list a widow, it'll list her husband's name in a city directory. School records, societies, clubs, newspapers. I love school records because they usually give the parents' names. I found my ancestors' school records from Hungary. That was amazing. And she found out she only went to 5th grade and then left school. A lot of people don't think about looking at school records. So there's all these different categories that you can look for, and Ancestral Logs wants to make sure that you've done an exhaustive search.
You know, one thing I can really say, if you're working with especially a younger person in your family, not only from the technology aspect that this might appeal to them, but also if they're a beginning genealogist, what a great overview of all the different record sets that they may not ever have even have heard of. So this is a great way to expose a less experienced family member to the possibilities.
Right, exactly. And I put in your handouts, there's a couple of websites for other guidance information. If Ancestral Logs doesn't address it in detail like you would want it, go check out those other wikis on different guidance procedures and where you can find different records.
I have a question.
Sure.
Is this a software that's available to purchase, or is it available through a website like Ancestry? I don't understand how you access it.
It is a website, ancestrallogs.com, and it is a subscription website, as we do have to pay the programmers and the hosting and constantly updating. Anyway, it is a subscription site that we offer a 90-day free trial. So you would, when you go to Ancestral Logs, let's see, what screen are you looking at?
You have apprenticeships and indentures up right now.
Okay, so up at the top, I have too many screens up on mine. The homepage, when you go to ancestrallogs.com, up at the top right corner, it will say log in. And that is where you can, if you're already a member, you can log in, or where you can sign up. Down here at the bottom, it says sign up. So it does ask for your credit card number to sign up for the free trial. That is all handled by a third party. We, Ancestral Logs, never actually see your credit card number. The third party does. And we use stripe.com, if you guys are familiar with that. So the credit card is never charged until the 90 days is up. If you wish to cancel the free trial, all you have to do is go into the contact us portion of the website, which is either on the homepage up at the top or on the left side that we were on before that said support. Send a message that says, hey, I want to cancel my free trial. Don't charge my credit card. I didn't like it, or whatever reason you want to tell us on why you want to cancel. If you don't let us know that you want to cancel within 90 days, the credit card is charged. It's $50 a year. However, we are offering a discount now until December 31st. If you use the code NEWFRIEND, and is that in the handout?
No.
It should have been. I'm going to have to get on someone for that. So write it down, put it in the chat box. New friend. It's 25% off. In fact, if you go to the Ancestral Logs website, I know it's on the Roots Tech page, but it's not on there. So on the home page, I'll show you how to get to it. In fact, I'll just have them add it to the membership page. If you scroll down to the Roots Tech, click for more info. That's where you'll find all the coupon codes that are currently active. Or that haven't.
Each family member that you would have participate as your coordinate, helping you coordinate the research, each one would have to join them.
Correct.
Okay.
You could be if you wanted to make more work for yourself, you could have the membership and they just email all the information to you, and then you'd have to enter it in. That's a workaround, but that's more work for you.
Right. That's the whole problem. I mean, I'm the sole researcher for 20 years. It's like, it would be nice to have, I do have cousins who are doing the research, but everybody's working on different people, and it doesn't, this has an advantage if everybody could be assigned a certain task. I love this software. I think looks really great for organizing, because I'm at the point I have stacks of papers in big folders that I need to get entered into an organized platform to know what I need to go to next. But
Right. And that's, I think, where a lot of people are right now. I've got all this information in folders, and what do I do? I mean, I've got 2 file cabinets full of genealogy information.
yeah,
And I find myself going online and finding something and then file it just to realize I've already got it. I'm like, oh.
yes, exactly. I mean, I keep research logs, because when I go to Salt Lake City to the Family History Library, which I've done probably 10 times or more of the last 15 years, and I keep the research, they're all written though, but they're not really organized, because you can't this way, by having the ability to write your your findings and put your listings of where it was found and the evidence on there, where on papers that were offered by the Family History Library, it's just, there's not enough room. I mean,
Right.
Carol,
Yeah.
I'd like to add something to that. I tell you, I've gone myself a few times to the Family Search Library in Salt Lake City. And the one thing you always find is that there's a shortage of computers. So you have to bring your own, either your tablet or your PC with you. And I can't tell you how many times the only spot I could find to sit was on the floor in the aisles, because all the computer seats were already taken up. And so I'm sitting there, and you obviously can't lug around notebooks, of research logs with you under cases like that. So having it done electronically, is a real distinct advantage when you're on the road.
yes, it would be fantastic. That's why I think your membership fee is reasonable. It's just like when I joined Legacy or Roots Magic, I buy the software plus, that you get the membership. And I just wondered if, that you would provide like a, not just a download, but I assume that's what you do, is that you download it?
It's not to download on it's always on the internet.
Oh, it's always only on the internet. Oh,
They're very similar to Ancestry.com. You can buy a third-party software to download your tree off of Ancestry.com, like Family Tree Maker. But if you log on to Ancestry.com, it's online. It's not
yes.
a piece of software you download onto your computer. It's
No.
online.
Then what I do is I download Jedcom every 3 months into my software that's on my computer, but you don't get everything. It's not satisfactory.
Right. Yeah, we have looked into making it a downloadable program, but we're not there yet. So if that's more what you're interested in, we can check back, in a year or so and see if we've made that. But the problem with downloading it onto your computer would be everybody else can't contribute to it.
Yeah, you're right. But if you could just download the results, you know what I'm saying? You do the work online, but that you can, all these lists that you come up with, it shows everything. If you could download the results.
So you're saying if you used Ancestral Logs online, you want to be able to download the results and import it into Legacy? Is that what you're saying?
Well, not necessarily into Legacy, just to have a copy. It's because I have lost the Ancestry back in 2001 or 2, when I first started, I had my whole family tree on there and they lost the whole thing.
Oh, no.
And so I had to go and do the whole thing, enter all of that back again. That's my fear. That's the only thing. It's like you do all the work and then it's gone.
So we have one programmer is working on right now a ability to download a Jedcom. So that should be happening. I mean, I don't want to put a deadline on it for him, but it's in the process to where you can download. As it is right now, if you go to any of those research logs,
Yes.
you can print it if you click on it and right click.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I'll make a copy, you mean?
I closed my section. You can, yeah, you can make a hard print of it.
This is
Yeah.
Carolyn Hoffman. Can you download this information to Ancestry.com?
Right now, no, they are not connected.
Okay.
So you can, what I do is I have Ancestral Logs on one tab, similar to what you see on my screen right now. You can see all these tabs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So I would have Ancestral Logs on one, and then Ancestry or Family Search on the other. And so I can, I would just type in the end result, such as they were buried in.
I guess you could copy and paste, huh?
Yes, you could copy and paste. Yeah, it's on on the list for future development to where you can click a button and it'll send it. But we're just a new software right now. We're new in the field, so that sharing between platforms has not been developed yet, but it's on the list.
Okay. Oh, good. It sounds great.
And one of the advantages of keeping it online is you can access it on a PC or a Mac, correct?
That is correct.
You know, whereas if it's software, you have to have software that is compatible with, you know, a PC and software that's compatible with a Mac.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's
So right now, yeah, you can put it, you know, anywhere it has internet. You can do it on your iPad.
You know, KayLynn, what this reminds me a lot of, when I was working on my master's degree, there are papers that you had to do like an MLA format or APA format, and there were templates that you could buy online that when you typed up your reports and you're doing your writing of your report or your paper, whatever the case may be, and you come to a point where you're going to do a quote, it allowed you to come up with an automatic template that would fill in your citation information correctly, like, you know, the name of the book, the author of the book, the page number, you know, the date it was published, who published it. This reminds me a lot of paper templates, you know, that I used to do in college. And I can see real value in this, you know, because it's forcing you to stay organized and forcing you to do your citation work correctly.
Yeah, and it won't let you mark it complete until you have all the steps. You know, you need to have all the explanations. You saw how it's the purpose that I showed you that was I couldn't mark it complete until all the steps were met. And a lot of people forget to put in a citation, or they forget to resolve conflicting evidence, or they forget to, you know, say what the final information is. I've had information and documents given to me where I'm like, okay, well, what's the purpose of this? Where did this even come from? That's a great birth record, but I don't even know what city and town and country.
And so many people years ago that are older researchers, before it became so popular, we neglected to source and cite the everything that we needed to. I mean, I have copies of actual, like you said, birth records, death records, and I did not write down even the county or the, you know, the certain things that I needed to say, where did I get this from? And so I have to go back, and where this will prevent that. It'll
right. And that's the purpose is, we're trying to make sure that you dotted all your I's and crossed all your T's, and there's peer review. So your coordinator and other people are giving advice and, making comments and making sure that everything's done. So I don't know about you, but every time I run across a family tree that's not documented, I pull my hair out. I'm like,
Yeah,
or I see mistakes like, why do you have the child born after the mother is dead?
right.
Did you catch that error?
But even on, the problem with family search, where I do have one side of my family tree on family search, but there are people who go in and change your facts, even though you have typed in what you have proof of. And then there'll be someone else that says they're on that somewhere related, and they'll change it.
Right.
And that's why I don't trust anything that I have to prove it to myself. So,
And that's why we're trying to not make another site where everybody contributes and changes.
right.
This is the research logs. You need to see the research, and
Exactly.
and you need to see what show me the proof.
Yes.
So that's why Ancestral Logs was created.
And so kudos to you.
Well, thank you.
Kaylynn, I have a question. You mentioned that if there's a data set that is not listed there that you would like added, you can contact your office to or your staff to add it.
Yes.
But can you customize a data set yourself in your own log? Like, let's say I'm just guessing. I don't
yes
know.
And
You probably already have Family Bible, but let's say you wanted to have Family Bible and there was no Family Bible category.
So there is, though.
Yeah, I figured there was. I was just using that as an example.
So that is on our list of developments. It has been a very frequently requested feature, and it is almost done. I'm like, come on. I tried to get them to have it done before this presentation, but it wasn't quite there. So very soon.
Okay.
And it would be, from what I've seen in the development so far, it's been at the bottom, you would add your own task to do. And then you can add your own guidance, you can add your own details, and then you can assign it to your cousin or whatever. So that would work great for if you were a professional genealogist who you have clients who want to help with the research and they just want to be coached, then you could write your own steps for that. So.
Gee, I can even see the value of this if you're doing like lineage society applications, if you're working with a DAR, a potential DAR person, a new member for your chapter, you can if they had a subscription, you had a subscription, you can communicate like, okay, I need your grandmother's marriage record, or I need your grandfather's death certificate.
Right.
So I can definitely see the value. And you know what, even if you take it a step further for lineage society use, you can collaborate with other people who, like another registrar, like if you have two people, who are working on the same application, not necessarily the applicant, but just two people, who are really good at genealogy in your chapter, you could both collaborate on, so you don't duplicate and waste time looking for records.
Exactly. Yeah, there's many uses for it.
Absolutely. Now, if somebody has a question, like let's say it's 2 o'clock in the morning and they get stuck on something and for some reason they can't, seem to figure out what's wrong, what they're doing wrong in Ancestral Logs. Do you have like YouTube channels, to help guide people through the usage, especially if it's, after hours, off hours? Do you have like chat, customer service help? How does somebody reach out if they need help once they have the product?
So right now you would just contact support. That's on the left side of the screen. And it sends an email. It is not monitored 24 hours a day because we like to sleep at night. So 1 a.m. you can wait for the email to come the next day, or there is the user guide that you can look at right here on the user guide. Can you see that? Did I click
Yeah.
the right button?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
coming up right now.
So right now it's in a PDF. You could actually download this to your computer if you want. But you know, here's the page on the dashboard and details on how the dashboard is used, how to sort. You could set goals, and here's on how to add an individual, what to click on. So hopefully everything's in the user guide, but if it's not, you can send us a message. We can add it to the user's guide. We do have a YouTube channel, but right now there's only one video on it because we just barely set it up. So we will be adding more to the YouTube channel. That's in progress.
Great. Okay. Well, that was all my questions. Klaus, do you have any other questions? You
I
can
have
go
one.
ahead. Oh, go ahead, Beth.
I hadn't heard before that you could change someone's information, and now I'm afraid I might have changed somebody's information. What sites allow someone to change your information on your tree?
Family Search is a collaborative tree. Anybody can change anything. So if I go back to Family Search, that's why they have on the right that latest changes, and you can see what everybody did. But if I didn't like this burial that Cynthia Roethlisberger put, I can go in and edit it and change it.
Oh,
Yeah, that's,
You know, and it asks you to put a reason in why you changed it,
mhm.
but I can delete it if I want.
oh, but that you would know if you were changing somebody's information because it would come up saying, why do you want to change it?
Yeah, you put a reason in.
Realize that you're changing somebody's information.
Right. So
Okay.
Ancestry doesn't allow you to do that. So that's pretty secure. But those are the big ones. Jenny is a collaborative site. I haven't used that one too much. Each site has different purposes. Which site do you use that you're worried about?
Oh, I'm on several sites and I had just never heard that before.
Well,
So
you're lucky
all
then.
of a sudden I got scared that I had changed somebody's information and not known it.
Family Search is probably the biggest one where people change things.
Yeah.
Okay, I haven't used that one that much. I am a member, but I haven't used it all that much.
On Ancestry, I have a private tree because of that very fact. When I first started, it was public. And at that time, which was, like I said, in the early 2000s, people were changing things, but they might have stopped it now for public. But I did not want anybody to take my stuff that I was a work in progress. And it's like, I might have hints in there that are not factual. And I didn't want someone to pick that up as the wrong information.
And that has happened a lot,
Yes.
especially with, I don't know if you remember the old ancestral file, that's been like 25 years ago. But people would submit incorrect information because it was their work in progress.
Yes.
And then people copied it. So
Yep.
I'm finding the same wrong information on
Years
500 different
later.
sites still popping up. I'm like,
Yes.
no. Yeah. So that's why the field is going towards document and citations and provide
Right.
evidence and make sure it's all correct.
And that world tree that existed, that Ancestry took over,
Right.
you know, there was so much on that. And in fact, there's an old file of mine that was, it's still people, I get things, you know, that are, I don't know people how they access it, but it's not the same as it was.
Right. Yeah, the genealogy field is changing.
Yeah.
As more technology comes to light, everything's getting changed. So.
Well,
great.
I have another question then, just real quick. I'm trying to go back and cite sources because I had been one from long ago that had not done that, not realizing that I should. If you attach things in, say, ancestry.com, you see the census or you see a marriage certificate, particularly if there's a picture of it, and you know it's the right one and you attach it to your files, that it takes that as a source, right? It lists where it's coming from. Like, you know, the Texas Bureau of Statistics, that kind of thing. It's putting that in like it's a source, isn't it?
That depends on where you attach it and what information you're putting in there.
Yeah.
So if you're on Ancestry and you search their files and you find something in the Ancestry databases and attach it, that will include it as a source. But you could also just upload an image of a document you have at home, but it doesn't include it as a source unless you tell it that this is a source.
Oh, okay.
It'll just put it like as a photograph.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, class, any other questions? Those were some good questions. We'll give it a couple seconds. Okay, all right, so it looks like that, Kaylynn, it looks like that's the last of the questions, but this was a great presentation, and I thank you not only for your time and expertise today, but also for allowing us to record. That's greatly appreciated.